I'm Mark Small. This is Civil Discourse Now. It's August 11th, 2022. I've been listening to different stuff today and reading stuff online, and people in the far right are saying we got to have a civil war. Got to have a civil war. There's going to be a civil war. Why? Why? Okay, the FBI was wanting to get back documents that the individual who occupied the Oval Office between 2017 and 2021 took with him to Florida. Those are documents that belong to the United States government. They're also documents that are top secret. Now, let's kind of cut this apart. Once he no longer was president, and he's no longer president, he didn't have any authority to keep those documents. 2, it's a felony. Not only is it punishable by jail time, but he can be disqualified from running for future public office. How is that? Because of a law he signed into effect himself in 2018. Real bright guy. 3, they negotiated, got 15 boxes of documents. They went through them. They weren't everything that they needed, and that everything they knew he had. So they issued a subpoena. Trump's people blew it off. So what they did then was they went to a federal magistrate or judge, impartial person in the judiciary. They showed probable cause, which is, it's kind of a basic standard of proof. But in this instance, with a former president, they wanted to make sure they had everything all lined up. That search warrant was authorized, was signed. They went to execute the search warrant. It's not a raid. One of Trump's lawyers was present. So another example of Trump lying, but they were there. They got documents, they took them out. Now Trump's complaining that they did these things and he didn't know. And well, how dare they? Great, groovy. Show us a search warrant. He refused to do so. So the AG filed a motion to disclose or publish the contents of the search warrant. Trump has to show by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, be Friday, August 12th, why that shouldn't be released. So at the same time as he says, well, it's terrible, he won't even say what the contents are. Now think about it. If they were top secret and they shouldn't be disclosed to people, he'd be saying, well, it's top secret, they shouldn't be disclosed to people. He's not. He could disclose those things, he could release them, but he depends upon ignorance and fear. Look at all the years that he's kept his tax returns completely shut off from the public. So tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, I don't know if people are going to have pizza parties, but it's really disgusting at this point to hear people talk about civil war. For what? Let's look at why people are so angry right now that they take up arms in favor of Trump. Well, you can look at people who were middle class, white, or blue collar. White, older. They're angry because they used to have things pretty good here. They probably still do, compared to a lot of other countries. And even now, and think about it. When I was a kid, a color TV cost $700 and lasted for like 2 years and blew up. And then you had to get another one. A lot cheaper. A lot of things are cheaper. Things that aren't, like drug prices. The Republican Party jammed that in Congress, wouldn't agree to reducing prices of prescription drugs. But these people are saying they want a civil war because what? The election 2020 was legit. The one in 2016, that probably is one where the Russians gave the office by just flipping some votes in 3 or 4 states to Trump, who shouldn't have been in office anyway. That's beside the point. there's no reason to have a civil war. But let's look at a civil war. What would that mean? Well, you'd have Trump, presumably not at the front lines of anything because he doesn't really like to go out there and get shot at. He had bone spurs for that reason. That's why he got out of Vietnam. You go through enough docks and you don't have to screw around with it. Then you'd have his people behind him, supporting him. Now, I've seen them in demonstrations, saw them in January 6th. And actually, January 6th was not an alleged event, as a guest on John Schmitz's show, Mouthwash, said on Tuesdays, well, it was an alleged event. No, it wasn't an alleged event. The event occurred. Whether it's an alleged insurrection or alleged whatever, that's a different thing. But as I pointed out yesterday in my blog and here on Civil Discourse Now, Micah Beckwith, a preacher in Noblesville, just north of Indianapolis, said he talked to God. And God said, Micah, I sent those riots to the Capitol. So that's set. It's done. Micah's right wing as hell. He has his parishioners going through weapons training. It's the kind of exercise that they do. So let's talk about what these people would be like. We saw them. We saw them there at the Capitol. Some are real serious. Some of them not so much. 1969, I think it was. There's a man named Lee Weiner. He was a graduate student at Northwestern. And during the 1968 Democratic National Convention, he was one of the people who helped organize and work with the MOB, this mobilization against the war in Vietnam. He was charged with conspiracy to riot, basically. He was acquitted at the trial. It was called the Chicago 8 initially, and then Bobby Seale's case was separated, and it was the Chicago 7. Weiner was going to speak in Kokomo. That's where I was born and raised. He's going to speak at IU Kokomo. And that was the outrage to people there. Now, what I thought was interesting, there are about, I don't know how many different versions I saw or heard, people saying, Klan was there that day. They were ready. They were ready to take steps. They're ready. Now, first of all, you're dealing with an organization, the Ku Klux Klan, that's so brave that they will not go out in public without hoods on their faces. But also, this man was coming to speak. He was coming to speak and explain how he and other people were being tried for something that finally was thrown out of court. He was acquitted for. But the federal courts tossed the charges. They said the statute was unconstitutionally vague, and all the contempt citations were tossed out. And he's coming to speak. He's coming to speak, and he was to the left of center. And these people are going to make damn sure we're going to speak here in Kokomo. And if I'm making fun of people by using that accent, hey, so what? Well, it's odd. But when people on the right are talking about how they're really scared and they got to have weapons, automatic weapons and everything, if you look at the terrorist deaths of the last 20 years, terrorist threats, right-wing threats versus left-wing threats, I'm a pacifist. We don't do that kind of stuff generally. On the other hand, Timothy McVeigh killed a lot of people in Oklahoma City, right-wing as hell. You want to look at these mass shooters going out there? Wow, they're pulling out their AR-15 and shooting people. And I got the guy in Cincinnati this morning, I think, had a nail gun. He also had an AR-15 style weapon, I like how they said. And they had to take that off of him. And he had body armor, which apparently isn't as good as it once was. But I thought the nail gun was interesting. There was a person in, I think that's the third season of The Wire, who had a nail gun. And she went in to buy it at a hardware store. This is really cool. And she goes, yeah, nail gun. How is this thing right here? How long is cable on it? The guy goes, we don't need to use those anymore. We got them right here. This is the propulsion for the nails right in the gun. She goes, wait a second. These are just like 17 caliber charges right here. He goes, yeah. She goes, I know how to do this. I'll take one of them. I'll take two. Because, well, okay, there's so many dollars. And it's like, I don't know, $1,200 or something. She goes, here's $1,500. Keep it. He goes, well, no, I've got to give you change. She goes, no, keep it. And there, anyways. So we're looking at violence. Violence is largely committed by the right. There are instances of people on the left doing it, and that's silly. They shouldn't be doing that. Not only is violence wrong, it's stupid. But like Charlottesville, what happened there? Oh, that's right. The Nazis were killing people, but they're very fine people, according to Trump. And they drive into demonstrators with their cars. It's people on the far right that are doing this. So let's get straight about something. The Civil War was fought 1861 to 1865. There was a reason the South lost. One, the South was wrong. Even within the South, people were seceding. There are parts of the South that did not want to be part of the Confederacy. There was barely a majority of white people, non-slaves, in the South. It was like 5-to-4 ratio. And they're trying to protect the institution of slavery. Read the statements of secession. That's what they're looking at, not states' rights. They want to preserve slavery. Now, the North won. And for about 10 years, we were going through Reconstruction. And really, there was an integration. Major League Baseball was integrated. I mean, all this stuff was going on. And then, 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes was placed in office as President of the United States. He's a Republican candidate, beat Tilden, and a deal was cut so that Republicans would back off of Reconstruction. If that hadn't happened, we might have had integration a whole lot sooner. A whole lot fewer people would have been killed. Country would have been better off. But we compromised with racists and hatred. That's what's going on right now. Anybody who says they don't need to hear any facts, Trump's like some kind of king and this should be a theocracy because it was meant to be a theocracy, that's just silly. So what I have to say is civil discourse now for August 11th, 2022. I'm Mark Small. Parenthetically, I'm a candidate for Indiana House District 86 and the nominee of the Republican Party. I say that as full disclosure. I'm pro-choice, pro-environment, anti-gun, pro-separation of church and state, pro-civil rights, and anti-Trump. I can say I'm anti-Trump because he's not a nominee of the party. I hope that he's not a nominee of the party because there should be one change in federal law, which I can think. It should be called the Trump exception. If someone signs into a law that's a penalty under a specific federal statute like he did, they're stuck with it. He wanted it so much, he got what he wanted. So peace, love, happiness. Have a good one.